Where you're checking in from, I'd appreciate that. And also, if you're watching this live, or are you watching the replay of this? Because I always love to know where everybody's checking in and when they're checking in so I can support you better. So if you could comment live or replay down below, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, tell me where you're checking in from. I'm in Central California where we're getting lots and lots of rain, which is really, really exciting. So this conversation is how to avoid being manipulated, right? Appreciate it, April. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to ask you the question is, what does being manipulated mean to you, right? Because there are many, many things out there that we end up taking on, and we have certain energies around it, and we're not even really aware of where that energy comes from, right? So first of all, what does manipulation mean to you, right? Is it good or bad? Is it evil? Is it light? What does manipulation mean to you? Now, I want you to really think about, now I encourage you not to look at anything as positive or negative. You can look at it as, good Lord, I got all this stuff going on. Look at it as effective or efficient, or is this aligned with who I truly am, right? Because however you characterize something, you have to be consistent with it. Meaning, like if you think all women are something, however, you're going to have to be consistent with how you characterize women. It's the same thing with every single thing else in your life. And so this is where you want to be very, very clear on how you hold something. So what does the word manipulation mean to you? The word manipulation literally means to bend energy, right? And what's important about understanding that is that your energy shows up long, long before you do. All right. Wow, that's a big difference in volume. So I want to ask you, where in your life do you feel like you were taken advantage of and didn't even recognize that you were being taken advantage of until after the fact? How many of us have experienced that, right? If you've experienced that, type below, say I have experienced that. And see, there's a book out there that I'm actually going to be teaching this at a whole other level within my course. And that is Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Robert Cialdini was taken advantage of over and over and over and got tired of it. And out of that, he started doing lots of research and started to find out, how did Jonestown happen? Now, some of you on here, if you're a millennial, you might not have ever heard of that. Jonestown was one of the, I don't know if it's the biggest one. It might be one of the biggest suicide that's ever happened, like a group suicide. And I don't remember how many it was. A couple hundred people actually all drank this poison out of this Kool-Aid, and they all died. Right now, one might think, now that would have never happened to me. And it's easy to say this. Okay, it is super easy to say this when you are looking at it from the outside in. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I was telling you. This is one of the reasons I was telling you is how you characterize something, you have to hold it. And let me give you a personal experience with this. I had a friend of mine that had his in-laws living with him, and his in-laws were literally, oh my gosh, we're creating lots and lots and lots of frustration for this guy. And I was just like, well, just kick him out. Just get rid of him, right? Until I had an elderly lady living in this house that was 63 years old and was literally making my life a living hell. Right. And I had to, and I knew that if I was going to ask her to leave, that she would probably be homeless. And I also knew that in doing that, she would figure out a way to make it happen. Wow. 918 individuals died in Jonestown. Thank you so much, April, for sharing that. 918 people died in Jonestown. Okay. All of them drank the Kool-Aid. This is where the term drank the Kool-Aid came from, right? And they all poisoned. How does that happen? How does that happen? Well, there's lots of components that went into making that happen. And this is the part that I really, really want you to get. And please, I just go join my ROI Accelerator Challenge, because this is what I really talk about on a whole other level. If you don't understand influence, it's being used on you. Okay. The media understands influence, like understand what the TV's called. Tell a vision. Tell a vision, right? So they understand that once they're able to get beyond your critical faculty is the very thing within inside of you that keeps information, whether it gets in or it stays out. Okay. Case in point is that I could sit here and I can't see you, but if I could, and I would say, you know what? I don't know if you know this, but you are this incredible, really amazing shade of blue. Now you look at me like, Jeff, I'm not a shade of blue. And I could, well, maybe in time, I could eventually get you to believe it. But right away, you're not going to be offended. You're probably going to go, dude, you're out of your freaking mind, right? Why? Is because you know it is not your truth. But if I say something about your intelligence, if I say something about your appearance, if I say something about your choices, whatever that is, you're going to get triggered. Why? Because of your characterization about the thing that I am saying. Okay. So understanding this is how they're able to influence you unconsciously. Okay. So you think about what is the message that most media, by the way, media is the goddess of illusion. There's another sign, like the things I'm dropping here are all kinds of signs that are telling you and validating exactly what it is that I'm telling you. Okay. Is like they are channels. This is programming. This is networks, right? Like these are all the words that they use. Like once you start understanding this stuff, friends, it is like it is everywhere. It is everywhere, right? A movie I would recommend, two movies I'd recommend every one of you to watch that validates what it is that I'm saying. First movie is Experimenter. I think Ashley Judd is in it. It's called Experimenter, which is actually a movie about a, um, I guess you would call it a case study or a documentary of people, them documenting how authority impacts people. Okay, so that's that first one movie. Second movie I'd encourage you to watch is the movie Focus with Will Smith. This all validates everything that I'm telling you right here, right now. Okay, so going back to what I was saying is the seduction, the conditioning began before you were even conscious. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Your conscious mind doesn't even start coming onto the scene until you're about 5 or 6 years old. This is when your conscious mind starts coming on the scene. Before that, everything is imprinted, right? And see, there are collective trances that we have been put into so that we are taught to comply. Okay. Now, if you are not aware of these, like awareness is the greatest thing that you could ever have within your life, my friends. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are your awareness. Okay. So this is my responsibility. My mission is to get people to expand your awareness so that you can see how this is being used to hypnotize you, to put you in a trance. See, now this is what's really interesting. When people, well, you can't hypnotize me. They're the easiest ones to hypnotize, right? Because they think that this is over here. See, understand that, again, if you don't have the awareness of actually what's happening, then you are easily manipulated. Okay. Again, manipulation is not good or bad. It is actually just bending energy, right? Energy is the very thing that communicates to you non-verbally. Understand? I'm just amazed at this stuff that I'm actually going to be sharing here. Understand that 93% of communication is nonverbal. 93% of communication is nonverbal. Okay. And there are lots and lots of people. I shouldn't say lots of people, but there are strategies that are used to get you to understand this. I want you to think about the importance of what I'm about to say. How was Hitler created? How was Hitler created? Now think about this time, the era of when Hitler was created. TV wasn't, I don't remember exactly. I think TVs came on around the 50s. But what he was able to do, and by the way, Hitler understood hypnosis. Okay. So the other thing that he did is he understood hypnosis. He knew how to influence people. He also understood what fluoride would do to people. Okay. There are two big clues right there. So Hitler was created by indoctrinating the collective. Okay. They allowed him to be able to do what he did. Okay. And thank goodness the thing that took Hitler out was something that Hitler wasn't aware of. Okay. The thing that took Hitler out was he would execute anybody that brought him negative feedback. Okay. Now, this is a blind spot most people have, because even Napoleon Hill talks about it after interviewing 16,000 people. The thing that surprised him more than anything is people's inability to get honest about their inadequacies. Okay. Hitler had a big inadequacy. In fact, the reason Hitler did a lot of the things that he did was because he was denied getting into art school. Okay. So out of that, everything Hitler created not everything, but the majority of everything Hitler created was out of a wound. Okay. And he had like he went after Jews and did what he did with Jews, right? So I say all that to say this. A couple things. One is he understood the power of influence. He understood the power of hypnosis. Okay. And because he understood that, he was able to influence an entire country. Think about what he did. He was able to influence the majority of a country to hate other race to the point of horrifically doing what they did to the Jews. Now think about that, right? Like killing, not only just killing them, but like genociding them, an innocent race of people. Like just think about what he was able to convince people to do. Okay. Now, the other thing that's really important about this is for all of us to get in touch with, we are capable of doing things way beyond what we think we're possible of doing. It all depends on how you're influenced, how you're manipulated, how you're conditioned, the context of what situation that you're put in. The more we understand this and the more awareness we have about this, the more we're going to respect the fact of our own humanity, right? It's really easy to point at somebody else, and I'm I've done this many times, and this is what's created my blind spots many times, is seeing what we are capable of doing and embracing our own humanity, right? The first thing that we have to be aware of is the fact, the word was being aware, is that we are being influenced. We are being influenced, manipulated, and seduced every single day, right? Because the most effective way to get somebody is, first of all, the unsung hero, right? Like there's all kinds of narratives on TV that talk about that, having us versus them, right? And the other one is the small town boy makes it big, right? Like these are all metaphors and stories that people use. Like go watch the movie Avatar, like the first movie Avatar. I was really studying a lot of marketing when that first movie came out. And after that movie, after the lights came on in the theater, and I sat there and I went, what did I just watch? There's three themes in that movie that really captivated me. And I had the awareness of actually what was happening in that movie Avatar. One of the ways to manipulate people is to get them to choose a side. There's a big clue, what I just told you right there. You're red or you're blue. You're in or you're out. You're stupid or you're not, right? Like you're jabbed or you're not, right? They weaponize and turn you on each other. Just like there's actually studies out there where they'll take black ants and put them in a jar, and they'll put red ants in that jar, and they'll coexist without harming one another. But as soon as you shake it up, they will destroy each other, right? This is what this is what they want to do. If they can make you afraid, and if they can make you angry, and if they can divide you, they can control you. Okay, understand anytime you are feeling an emotional response from what you are allowing yourself to be introduced to, they have control of your emotions, right? Emotions are what run our lives. Whether you want to admit that or not, emotions are what run our life, right? Like how many things in your life do you avoid experiencing as a result of past emotions, right? This is one of the questions I ask my clients and my students is, what percentage of your life do you spend controlling it so that you don't re-experience painful memories that you had in the past, right? Again, having the awareness that you're doing this is the very beginning, because we can't change something that we're not aware of, right? So the more awareness you have, which is why I'm here, right? Like I'm bald for a reason. Like my hair said, I got to get out of this head because it just thinks way too much, right? So I want to do everything I can. I'm on a mission. And when COVID happened, I did a video. I don't think it's on that. Actually, that account got shut down on Instagram. Because I did a video the very day, March 13th, 2020. I remember the day very well. I know where I was at when it happened. Okay. March 13th, 2020. Okay. COVID happened. I seen what was happening. Like I seen it plain as day of what was going on. I talked about it. My whole account got shut down. Okay. Start looking at what's happening with, okay. So the other thing that I would encourage you to do, see friends, I can't reiterate this enough. In fact, I'm going to put this up on my banner here. If you're not in the Potential Zone group, by all means, go to potentialzonegroup.com. This is where like a lot of stuff is happening. But I encourage you to sign up for the ROI Accelerator Challenge. Like right now, get on the waiting list. You'll be kept informed of when I'm going to be doing the next challenge, because this has everything to do with the quality of your life. Understand your focus. Your focus is the most valuable commodity known to man. Your attention, right? And what causes attention, what captivates your attention is conflict. It's conflict. And what happens in the conflict, that doesn't mean this kind of conflict. It means stirring things up inside of you that might go against what it is that you truly believe. Okay, there's a great question. Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you believe what you believe? Right? And see, there was some stuff that's happening that, like, and so where I was going to go with that is I encourage you to do balanced research. Okay. And I'll give you a case in point of what I mean by this. Okay. So I'm a Christian. I believe in God. Like, I'm not evangelical. Like, that's a whole other conversation in itself. But I love Christ. I follow Christ. Like that's where I go. Okay. This isn't about religion. Jesus was the most non-religious person that's ever walked on this earth. Anybody tells you any different, then they don't understand what's actually Jesus was doing. But anyway, I digress. I say this to say that they get your attention. They get your life force. Your attention is your life force. And if they can get you to start having narratives playing inside of your head, you are entangled into their agenda. Okay. They're called energetic cords. Okay. And the more you allow them to be fed, just think about like an umbilical cord. They get your attention, they control what you're focusing on, then they control your inner world. Okay. Just like Bruce Lipton said, The Matrix was not a movie, it was a documentary, right? And the more you understand this, the more you can pull back and unplug from where it is that they want to take your attention. Okay. The reason I brought up being a Christian is because I was going through this book list that somebody recommended that I read. One of the books on there was by Richard Dawkins, I think it's called The Selfish Gene. Okay, anybody, I shouldn't say everybody knows, but one of the most renowned atheists out there is Richard Dawkins. Okay. And putting things in context again, it makes sense of why he experiences what he's experienced. I believe that religion has been responsible for creating more atheists than anything else out there, just because religion has its own version of who God is, which is a whole other conversation in itself. But it was just like Spirit told me, it said, how are you going to support somebody if you're not willing to look at what is balanced in your belief system? Okay, this is what causes the breakdown, is because they understand cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you're introduced to a belief that makes you feel very, very uncomfortable because it challenges your current beliefs. Okay, and understand, it's not what to believe, it's how to believe. It's how to believe, right? And friends, I want you all to support me because you're here. I'm assuming that you're part of this. We will never, ever, ever raise consciousness looking through the eyes of duality. Okay. Now, here's a great case in point to support what it is I just said. Remember 9/11? Like, there were no longer Republicans and Democrats. It was all of a sudden we were all united to support what had just happened. Whatever you believe about 9/11, because that's a whole other conversation, right? We've got to stop looking at it, because if they can divide us, they can conquer us. Right. And there's a lot of things going on if you allow yourself to step back and look at what's going on. Look at what Elon Musk is finding out about what Twitter was doing during that election. Whether you agree with what happened in the election isn't it as important as understanding how much they are filtering information? Because if they can control what you perceive, they can control what you believe. Okay. And so I'm asking you to step back, pull your attention back, pull your life force back, and start looking at this from a bigger perspective. Okay. Because again, whoever gets your attention is getting your life force. And the more you give something your life force, you're literally becoming subject to it. Okay. So I would encourage you. I'm just waiting for my screen to go, I'm done. Because the stuff I'm sharing with you is very, 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 they don't want you to know this stuff. Right. I had one of my clients was a very elite programmer for Google. And he's like, Jeff, if you knew what Google was doing with information, it would blow your head. And I was like, no, it wouldn't. I know they're doing, whoever controls the narrative of history is the one that controls people's perception. Understand that. Okay. So I say all this to say this: when you are doing research, do balanced research. Go to duckduckgo.com. Get outside of Google, right? Start doing this. But see, most people won't do it because they're afraid of actually what they're going to experience, right? And see, one of our biggest fears, and I'm going to drop the truth bomb him and then I'm going to get off, okay? One of our biggest fears is being separated from our tribes. And see, we got our beliefs and our morals and most of our paradigms from our tribe. Now that might be our immediate family, it might be our educational system, it might be whatever, but whatever decisions that we have made that has been, we'll say, responsible to getting where you're at today currently, excuse me, these are the very things that were part of our upbringing, right? And until we're able to let go, transformation requires us letting go of what got us here. That doesn't mean all of it. It means expanding on it, right? So I will encourage you to get over to the ROIAcceleratorChallenge.com. And not only am I going to show you some things that are going to allow you to understand how you are being influenced, how you've been manipulated, but because once you understand on how to move through that, you're going to be able to create your life. Listen to what I'm suggesting to you. I guarantee it. Like, I guarantee this. You can live your life by design rather than default. Because if somebody else is moving and manipulating your attention, you are living life by default. You are allowing somebody else to control your life. That you will never, ever, ever experience freedom as long as somebody else is telling you what to believe, as long as somebody else is determining how you feel, as long as somebody else is telling you who you are, you will never be free. You will never be free, right? There are, like I teach you languaging. I teach you how to put yourself in the states with your physiology so that you're not impacted by assist. Like I said, 93% of communication is nonverbal. And when you start understanding this stuff, you can start keeping yourselves into states that don't allow lower frequency stuff to get in. Friends, understand 80% of this world, 80% of this world is not even able to distinguish what is true. I want you to think about what I just said there, right? And I've got all kinds of stuff to back this up, right? So I want to do all I can to get people to stand into their own greatness and be able to influence themselves so that they're able to make the impact on this world that they were put here to do. That's my whole mission, right? And I also show you how to create presentations. Like, there's a lot of coaches out there, phenomenal coaches, but they don't know how to influence people in a way to get them into their ecosystem. There's a lot of amazing trainers out there. There's a lot of amazing stories out there. And see, I'll share this and then I'll wrap it up. When COVID happened, my acupuncturist lost like 80% of his business, just like that. Boom, shut it down. 80% of his business just went away. And I said, this is what I do with businesses. Like, I show entrepreneurs how to move from 5-6 figures a month to like really stepping it up, like 10x. And I've had clients that have well over 10x. And I shared with him, I said, I can give you some ideas to support you so you can get some more clients. And he's like, no, I'm good. And I was like, wow. And he believed that if he provided a good enough service, then people would just want to come back. But see, this is what most business owners do. They don't understand that if you do not know how to impact your audience, then they'll forget about you, right? All he would have had to have done is send a text out to everybody and told them that he was still open. But he wouldn't do it because he didn't want to promote himself. Because this is what the sham has conditioned us to believe, that it is self-centered, that it is arrogant, that it is pompous to promote yourself. Wonder why they did that. There's lots of reasons why they did that, so that they can put advertisement in front of you that is aligned with their agenda. Like the United States is like, there's so much going on outside the United States, and understand they're controlling what you perceive. So I'm going to leave you with this. You investing into taking the time, signing up for the ROI Accelerator Challenge, getting on the waiting list, stay tuned for all the announcements that I'm going to be bringing with you, is one of the greatest things that you can ever do. And I guarantee it that if you go through the whole ROI Accelerator Challenge and it is not something that is absolutely taking your life to an extraordinary new level, I will give you back 3 times whatever it took you to go through that. Okay. That's how confident I am, because I'm watching what's happening with my students. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I appreciate you being here so much. It is so good to be back on live on TikTok. I lost one of my accounts on TikTok, was not able to go live because I shared a truth that they don't want you hearing. Like, AI is getting to an entirely, everything you do is being filtered. Everything you do is being filtered. They are listening to you, right? It's everywhere. So I encourage you to wake up. Encourage you to be a part of this journey with me. And again, friends, I love and appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, live like your life depends on it, because it does. Much love. I'll see you. I'll see you on TikTok. If you're over here in the Potential Zone group, get over and follow me on TikTok. I do a lot more lives over there, give a lot more content over there. If you're on TikTok, get over to the Potential Zone group, put in lots of amazing content inside of that. Until next time, my friend, much love. And